Picture a 74-year-old widow standing inside the steel vault of the local bank she has used for 40 years. Her husband just passed away a few days ago. The funeral home and the lawyers need his original life insurance policy, and they need his final wishes. She knows for an absolute fact those papers are sitting right there inside their shared safe deposit box. But the branch manager is shaking his head. He tells her she cannot open it. The account has been legally sealed. Why? Because she did not have the specific legal document required by the bank to access his assets after his death. And the brutal, heartbreaking irony is that the very document she needs is locked inside the box itself. She is completely locked out of her own life's work. If you are over 65 and you currently rent a safe deposit box at a bank, I need you to listen to me very carefully right now. For decades, we were taught that the heavy metal box behind the bank vault was the ultimate safe haven, the one place where your most private, valuable items were completely secure. But that is no longer true. My name is David Taylor from Senior Money Brief, and today I need to warn you about a massive shift happening right now in 2026. The rules governing your local bank have quietly changed. A safe deposit box is no longer a private sanctuary. It is bank property, governed by strict new bank compliance laws. There are 3 specific items that millions of older Americans currently have sitting in these boxes. And if you leave them there, you are walking straight into a legal and financial trap that will lock you, or your children, out of your own assets when you need them the absolute most. One of the items on this list will actually trigger an automatic federal red flag if the bank ever drills your box open. And it happens to be the exact thing your parents probably taught you was the smartest thing to store there. So let us stop the guesswork. Let us talk about exactly what is happening inside your bank right now, why the rules just changed, and what you are risking by leaving these items in the dark. Before I tell you the 3 things you must take out of your box today, you need to understand why this is suddenly happening right now. In 2026, the banking landscape for seniors has quietly shifted. Lawmakers and federal regulators have expanded something called safe harbor laws. We have talked about these laws before in relation to checking accounts, but almost no one realizes they apply to the vault too. These laws give banks broad, sweeping powers to freeze your assets if their computer systems suspect any irregularity. But with safe deposit boxes, there is a second, even more silent threat. It is called the aggressive dormant account sweep. For years, if you rented a box, paid the small annual fee automatically out of your checking account, and just left it alone, the bank ignored you. You could go 5 or 10 years without visiting the branch. Not anymore. State governments have become incredibly aggressive about claiming abandoned property to pad their own state budgets. Under today's rules, if you do not physically walk into the bank branch, sign the access ledger, and open your box for a certain period of time, often just 3 to 5 years depending on where you live, the bank can legally declare your box abandoned. And I want to be very clear here. It does not matter one bit if your annual rental fee is still being paid on autopay. They care about your physical, documented activity. When that time limit runs out, the bank does not have to beg for your permission. They hire a locksmith. They literally drill the lock right off the front of your box. They pull everything out, dump it into a tamper-evident bag, and ship your family heirlooms, your private papers, and your whole life straight to the state's unclaimed property division. I spend my days looking at these exact financial traps for older Americans. And I am telling you, the bank is no longer acting as your personal bodyguard. They are acting as compliance officers to protect themselves from liability. If the state says drill, they drill. If the system says freeze, they lock the doors. This is the exact reason why the old rules of hiding things in a steel box are now a severe danger to your financial survival. If you are one of the millions of seniors storing these next 3 items in your box, you need to go to the branch this week and get them out. Let us start with item number 1. Item number 1 on the list of things you must remove immediately: the Catch-22 documents. By this, I mean your original last will and testament, your durable power of attorney, and your advance healthcare directives. Millions of older Americans put these exact papers in their safe deposit box because they are the most important legal papers they own. It makes perfect logical sense sitting at the kitchen table. You want them safe from a house fire, safe from a flood, and safe from being misplaced. But by locking them inside that specific metal box at the bank, you are accidentally springing a massive legal trap on the people you love the most. Let me explain exactly how this plays out in the real world. Let's say you have an unexpected medical emergency and end up in the hospital. unable to manage your own finances. Your adult daughter goes to your local bank to access your checking account to pay your mortgage, your utility bills, and your medical costs. The bank teller looks at her and says, "I am sorry, I cannot let you touch these accounts unless you hand me the original, signed, durable power of attorney." Your daughter nods and says, "I know exactly where it is. It is sitting in my mother's safe deposit box right over there in your vault." And the branch manager shakes his head and says, "I cannot let you open that box without seeing the power of attorney first. Do you see the nightmare here?" The bank demands the legal document to grant her access to the box. But the document they are demanding is locked inside the box itself. It is a perfect, devastating catch-22. The exact same thing happens when you pass away. If your original will is locked in the box, and your son goes to the bank to settle your affairs, they will tell him he needs to show court-issued letters of testamentary to open the box. But your local county probate court will not issue those letters until they see the original will, which is, you guessed it, locked inside the bank vault. Your children are now totally stuck. They are forced to hire a probate lawyer. They have to petition a judge for a special emergency court order just to drill the box to look for the will. This takes weeks, sometimes months, and costs thousands of dollars in legal fees, all while your funeral needs paying and your house sits empty with the bills piling up. The rule is absolute. Never, ever put the sole original copies of your estate documents in a bank box. The bank is legally forbidden from letting anyone except the authorized signer open it, even your own children, unless they hold the very papers you locked away. Now, these documents trap your family after you pass away. But the second item on this list is even more dangerous, because the second item can trap you right now, while you are perfectly healthy, and it is the one thing that can bring federal scrutiny straight to your finances. Item number 2 is emergency cash. Let's be completely honest. Almost every senior I talk to has a secret stash of paper money. We were raised to believe you always keep cash on hand for a rainy day. And where is the most logical place to hide a thick stack of $100 bills so it does not get stolen from a sock drawer or a mattress? The bank's safe deposit box. If you have a stack of bills sitting in that dark metal drawer right now, you need to go get it, because you are taking a massive, uncalculated risk. Here is the part most seniors simply do not know. The cash inside a safe deposit box is absolutely not insured by the FDIC. Let me repeat that because it is vital. FDIC insurance covers the money deposited into your checking or savings account. It does not cover one single dollar of physical paper money locked inside a rented bank box. If the bank branch burns down, if it floods, or if a sophisticated thief bypasses the vault, which happens more often than the banking industry wants to admit, that money is gone forever. The bank will not reimburse you for a single dime. But natural disasters and thieves are not even the biggest threat. The real danger comes from the government. Remember those state dormancy laws I told you about? What happens if you get sick, you miss a few years of visiting the branch, and the bank legally drills your box? When the bank drills that lock and finds a stack of untraceable cash, it gets bagged and sent to the state's unclaimed property division. Now, imagine trying to claim that cash back. If they ship your grandfather's gold watch to the state, you might be able to describe it or show an old photograph. But how do you legally prove that a stack of unmarked $100 bills belongs to you? You cannot. Cash has no name on it. And under current federal reporting guidelines, large amounts of unexplained, untraceable physical cash are treated with extreme suspicion. The state will demand to see a withdrawal receipt from the bank proving exactly when and where you got that money before they ever hand it back. Do you have a withdrawal receipt from 10 years ago? Of course not. Nobody does. So the state simply keeps your money. You lose it completely. It gets quietly absorbed into the government's general fund. You thought you were protecting your rainy day fund from thieves. Instead, you handed it directly to a system that will legally seize it the moment you miss a check-in. Keeping physical cash in a bank box gives you all the restrictions of a bank, with absolutely none of the federal protection. So, if your legal documents are a trap, and your emergency cash is completely uninsured, what actually happens on the day the bank decides your box is officially abandoned? That brings us to the most urgent part of this entire warning. Let's pause right here, because I need to tell you exactly what happens when the bank decides your time is up. It is called the unclaimed property drilling sweep, and it is the single most shocking process happening inside local bank branches today. Most seniors think that as long as they pay their annual rental fee, their box is completely safe. They set it on auto pay, the bank quietly takes the money out of their checking account every single January, and they assume their valuables are protected. That is the exact mistake that costs people everything. Paying the fee is no longer enough to protect you. Every single state has a strict law called escheatment. It is just a fancy legal word for abandoned property. Under these new, aggressive rules, there is a hidden countdown clock ticking on your safe deposit box right this very minute. In many states, if you do not physically walk through the front doors of that branch, show your identification, and sign the official ledger to access your box for 3 to 5 years, the state officially considers it abandoned. The bank does not call your house to ask how you are doing. They do not send a private investigator to check if you are still alive. They simply hire a commercial locksmith. They march down into the vault, put a heavy industrial drill straight into the lock you paid for, and they bust the metal door wide open. They pull out your grandmother's wedding ring, your private letters, your rare coins, and they dump them all into a tamper-evident plastic bag. Then, everything gets shipped off to a giant government warehouse run by the state's unclaimed property division. From that moment on, you are no longer dealing with the friendly teller at your local branch who knows your name. You are dealing with a massive, faceless state bureaucracy. And if you do not realize what happened fast enough, the state will legally auction off your family heirlooms to the highest bidder, just to fund their own budget. Your entire life's legacy can be liquidated simply because your hip was hurting and you did not feel like driving down to the bank for a few years. That is the brutal reality of the banking system right now. Knowing that this drill could pierce your box without your permission sets up the third and final item on our list. Because if the bank drills your box while this last item is inside, you could be completely erased from your own financial life. Item number 3 is the most modern trap of all, and it is the one that catches the sharpest, most prepared seniors. I am talking about your digital keys, your master password lists, and your original United States passport. Think about how much of your life is online right now. Your retirement accounts, your Medicare portal, your primary checking account, and your private emails. Because the modern world requires a dozen different complicated passwords, many careful seniors do exactly what they think is the most responsible thing possible. They write down every single password, every digital key, and every account number on a master sheet of paper. Then, they take that piece of paper, along with their physical passport, and they lock it inside the bank's safe deposit box. It feels incredibly secure, until the moment it destroys your life. Imagine a natural disaster hits your town, a severe storm, a flood, or even just a massive power grid failure. Your house has damage, and you desperately need to log into your retirement account to wire emergency funds. Or maybe your checking account unexpectedly triggers one of those new 2026 safe harbor fraud freezes I mentioned earlier, and your online access is instantly disabled. You drive down to the local branch to get your master password list and your passport so you can prove your identity to the corporate fraud department. But the branch is closed. The power is out. The vault is locked. Or maybe it is simply a Sunday afternoon of a long holiday weekend. You are now trapped in a complete digital blackout. You cannot log into your accounts because the passwords are locked in the vault. You cannot verify your identity to the fraud department over the phone because your physical passport is locked in the same vault. You have absolutely no way to access your money, no way to prove who you are, and no way to regain control of your digital life until that specific bank manager decides to unlock those heavy glass doors days later. You essentially handed the bank the master keys to your entire existence. If the branch shuts down, you temporarily cease to exist in the financial system. It is completely paralyzing. And let me add one more chilling layer to this trap. If the state ever executes that drilling sweep we just talked about, a random state contractor now has a single sheet of paper containing the keys to your entire net worth, right alongside your official passport. You have bundled up the ultimate identity theft kit and left it sitting in a government warehouse. Do not ever put your master passwords or your only physical proof of identity inside a bank vault. The risk is simply astronomical. Now, I have just told you what you absolutely must take out of that box this week. The Catch-22 legal documents, your emergency cash, and your passwords and passport. But I cannot leave you hanging, because if you take them out of the vault today, you still have to put them somewhere secure tonight. So you drive to the bank tomorrow, you empty the box, and you bring these items home to your kitchen table. What do you actually do with them? Because slipping them under the mattress or tossing them into a flimsy metal filing cabinet is not the answer. You need a system that gives you complete security, 24 hours a day, without ever asking a bank manager for permission to touch your own things. Here is exactly where these items belong. First, let us talk about your legal papers. Your original will, your durable power of attorney, and your healthcare directives. You have two highly secure options that do not involve a bank vault. Option 1. Leave the originals with the law firm that drafted them. Most reputable estate attorneys have secure, fireproof vaults specifically for client documents. If a medical emergency happens, your family makes one phone call to the lawyer, and the documents are released. No bank freezes, no catch-22. Option 2. Keep the originals yourself, but immediately hand legally certified copies to the exact people who will need them. Give a copy to your designated executor, your adult children, and your primary doctor. The moment an emergency strikes, the people who need the legal power already have it in their hands. They are never locked out. Second, your emergency cash, your master password list, and your original passport. These absolutely belong inside your house, but they belong in a very specific type of safe. Do not buy a cheap lockbox that a thief can easily pick up and carry out the front door. You need to invest in a heavy, highly rated fireproof and waterproof home safe. And this is the critical step that most people skip. You must bolt it directly to the floor. Most good safes have pre-drilled holes in the bottom specifically for this purpose. A bolted safe gives you all the physical security of a bank vault, but you hold the only key. If the power grid goes down, you still have your cash. If your checking account is frozen under a new banking rule, you still have your passwords. If it is a Sunday night on a long holiday weekend and you have a terrible family emergency, you can open that safe in your pajamas. You are never waiting for a bank branch to open its doors. Taking these specific items out of the bank's hands puts you back in the driver's seat. You stop being a potential victim of state drilling sweeps, and you take back total, unshakable control of your money and your identity. But there is one final thing you must remember about all of this, and it might be the most important lesson of all. Here is the ultimate truth I need you to walk away with today. The bank is not your family. The bank is not your protector. The bank is a highly regulated corporate entity, and its very first job will always be to protect itself from federal compliance fines and state regulators. When the rules shift, like they have with these aggressive new freezes and state property sweeps, the bank will instantly prioritize their own legal safety over your convenience, and even over your family's desperate needs. That is not malicious, it is just business. But your job is completely different. Your job is to protect your family, your legacy, and the assets you spent a lifetime building. You cannot outsource that responsibility to a metal box sitting in a stranger's vault. Taking your most vital documents and your emergency cash out of the bank's hands is not just an administrative chore. It is a powerful act of taking back control. It ensures that when life gets hard, the people you love are never left standing in a lobby, begging a branch manager for the right to help you. If you did not know about these 2026 banking rules, I can absolutely guarantee you that someone you know is entirely in the dark right now. Please, think of one older friend, one neighbor, or a family member who might have their whole life locked in a safe deposit box right now. Click the share button below and send this video to them. You might be the only person who warns them before the bank decides to lock them out. My name is David Taylor from Senior Money Brief. Thank you for trusting me with your time today. Protect your assets, protect your family, and I will see you in the next video.